Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to a brand new episode of Don't Blame Me. You should watch the video version over on Patreon so you can see the conducting you did, the instruction. You're mixed between a conductor, not a train, I would say, of an orchestra, or like a teacher with the little, what's it called? Like the little
Pointer?
teaching stick?
A pointer?
Not pointer. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Huh. That seems such like I feel like they would have like a more academic word for it. Like I don't know. Because I'm not an
Bop, bop, bop.
I was like, that's where my mind was going. But I was like, Megan, that's actually the exact opposite of academic.
My uncle was a train conductor.
That's cool. I like trains, even though they make me really car sick.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing for my birthday next year already, because my birthday always turns into a shit show because we're trying to always coordinate with everybody's schedule. And also my birthday is on the weekend of Valentine's Day and President's Day. So a lot of people aren't around, but I don't like to celebrate my birthday when it's not my birthday. So I'm just doing something by myself. And I mean, like for my actual birthday, I'm doing something for myself, but I'll probably have something else, but I just don't want to be disappointed on my birthday again.
Fully understand the feeling. I so understand the feeling.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. We're going to give you some advice because this is an advice podcast where we read your emails, your DMs, we listen to your voicemails and your voice memos, and you tell us about the predicament that's going on in your life. And we do our very best to help solve it for you and give you some advice. Sometimes that advice is fantastic. Sometimes it might miss the mark. I don't think we've influenced anyone to do anything like horrific in seriousness in a long time.
No. But this is also our first episode that's going to be on our new app network that we're at.
Woohoo, baby.
We're so excited. We've been teasing for a while that we've got changes coming, and this is one of the big ones.
Yeah. So lots of cool things coming. We're very excited. If you want to call and leave a voicemail, you can do so at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can send us a audio message and email that to meganpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to do a write-in submission, you can also email it to meganpodcast@gmail.com, or you can submit it in our Instagram DMs. So for all of them, you have to be 18 or over or have your parents' permission. And we do ask that you include your age and all relevant information. But for the voice memo and voicemail, you have to keep it under 3 minutes. And for the written versions, under 300 words. For the voicemails, we recommend practicing writing it out first and just reading it out loud a couple times, timing it out, making sure it all fits. We want as much relevant information as possible because we want to give you good advice. And in order to give you good advice, we have to have at least, I like to say, we have to have at least 3 big pieces of the puzzle. Because then if maybe there's only 4 pieces of the puzzle and like we can like fill in the blanks there. But if we don't get like some examples of things, a quick little rundown of it, we might be wrong. And also, we want to be on your side. We might not be on your side. But if you give us the relevant information and you're like so sure that you are on the right, you are more likely to have us agree with you then instead of withholding information.
But also, like, if we aren't on your side, we're still on your side because we want you to do better.
Totally. I am someone, and Melissa's too, we both said this, we're ghosters. If someone has a lost cause, it is not worth my time and fucking energy. And if we are answering your question, your advice, like your predicament, your situation that you're in, we're actually trying to help. Because sometimes we'll either just totally write you off or we'll call the authorities.
And we've done both.
We have. Not in a while. Thank fucking God. So, I can start. Hey, Eminem. I am 23-year-old she/her who is looking for advice on making friends in a new program. I recently started a new graduate degree in a new city, same country, where I don't know anyone. My program has a big cohort, but we are all split into 4 sections, about 60 people in each section, and we all have all of our classes for the year with that section. I have found this whole process quite overwhelming and has brought out my social anxiety, something I've struggled with on and off. I moved away from my undergraduate across country and didn't feel those same challenges with friends and loneliness as I feel now. I was in a dorm then, and now I'm in an apartment with roommates. It has been around a month of school, and I already sense that people are getting closer, and I feel like I am totally falling behind in that. I find myself second-guessing interactions I had with people and overthinking things. I am friendly with people and have done things outside of classes, but I want to create a new community for myself in the city as I will be here for a couple of years. I also have some friend crushes and I want to be better friends with them, but we're not in the same section, so I don't have classes with them. I want advice on how to get through this time and how to not let those little things bother me when trying to make friends. How do I keep going and remain optimistic when sometimes I just want to give up on socializing? Thank you. Love the podcast. Whew, this is tough.
For you, maybe. And people
but
like
I just
this
mean in
person,
like the getting out of your head in social interactions can be hard.
it took me having to move. So when I moved here, I just I wanted friends. I had a friend that lived here, but other than that, I didn't know anybody. And I knew that if I wanted to be friends with people, I just had to tell them that I wanted to be friends because at that point, like most of the people that I was around were new here anyway. And people would be like sitting at home by themselves because they didn't know anybody. You just have to tell people, hey, let's do this. I want to try out this restaurant. There's this happening on campus. Do you want to go to it? Just ask people. The worst they can say is no. And yes, that is a little heart crushing, but you'll get over it. You'll move on and be like, talk to somebody else. Also join different campus clubs and things. That is a great way to meet friends.
Yeah, I think like you having friend crushes of people who are not in your exact section kind of make it like a little bit easier in the sense that like if it is weird or like, you know, it's one of those things of being like, oh, I felt like you guys were really different than you actually are and hanging out. They're not directly people that you're working with and seeing all the time. So it might feel like more of an inconvenience to like naturally become close with them. But I do think it's kind of better because if it doesn't go well or there's rejection, like you kind of have that built-in buffer zone between the two of you. You're not like spending all this time together, but it gets easier. Like the second that you do it, it gets easier. And something that I have had to learn, or I really like learned as an adult, was that, you know, when you're in high school, middle school, and even in like college, you're always starting new things. And so it's like, oh, so we're all tend to be like new in this. We're all sort of new in this. And even if it's only like 4 years of something, people are always kind of looking for like new friends and expanding. And I think when I got to be an adult, I was like, oh, well, that's over now. It's on. Like adults want to make new friends all the time. Like people always talk about that as well. So I think like looking at it as there is sometimes it can be hard to break into a friend group of people who have been friends for their entire lives. But you are in a spot where you will not be the only one searching for friends. You will not be the only one looking for that kind of connection. So even if it is like a rejection in a way that you feel awkward about that, know that like 10 other people probably went through that exact same thing that day. And I think if you are too precious with those relationships, similar to romantic relationships, you can build people up in your head. And then by the time that like your masterful, very slow burn plan of like serendipitously becoming friends happens, you might realize that you're actually not that compatible. So I think like going for it quickly and just like trying to reach out makes it a lot easier. And there's a lot less like weighing on that. And you're not putting all of your eggs in one basket. So I don't know. I think I kind of look at it the same as dating, where like if when I was single and I was like going out with someone that I like liked, I would be like, okay, I'm going to schedule like 4 other dates this week. So like to kind of like spread out that pressure so I don't feel that as much. And then sometimes it would be like, oh, this person who I was the initial date who I really thought I was going to like, I did like, and like that helped me not be as nervous because, you know, I felt like I wasn't putting all this on it. But then there are times where I'm like, that date fucking sucked. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I had these other ones here. So I like shouldn't feel silly, but like I might feel a little silly or feel like, what the fuck was I thinking? And sometimes if you spend so much time planning without action, we fill in the blanks in our head. And that's not fair to like us or for other people. And it's kind of just like ripping off a Band-Aid. And as kind of like universal advice, how would you want someone to pursue a friendship with you? Like I've said before, I think literally in the last episode, Max was like, we should be friends with our neighbors. Like they're really cool. He had like talked to them more just like based on their schedules versus getting home at the same time. And I had like hung out with them a couple times, thought they were really cool. And I was like, I want to be friends with them. And literally my neighbor knocked on my door and was like, I don't know how to do this, but like, do you want to be friends? And I was like, that was perfect. That's exactly how I would have wanted that. And like, now that I've seen someone do that to me, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do to other people. So
yeah.
Everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah, everybody's in the same boat. Just you gotta jump in too.
Yeah. It's not gonna happen for you. The same way with like dating and relationships. I don't think relationships in general, most relationships don't fall into your lap. Like you can be presented with the opportunity, but until you take up that opportunity and you start pursuing it and putting time, effort, and energy into it, you're not gonna get a friendship out of it. It's not gonna appear.
All right. We're gonna take a break. When we get back, we'll get into some more.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go Network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you love Disney? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. There is nothing we don't cover.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back.
And it's time for the next one.
I'm Meghan and Melisa. I am needing some advice about hanging with new friends while staying true to myself and my old friends. I am 19 and I use she, her pronouns. I am a freshman in college and recently rushed a sorority. I went to college out of state and thought joining a sorority would be a great way to meet new people. I was right. I absolutely love my sorority and the girls I've met. I have a great new friend group and I spend most of my free time with and even study with a few fellow chemistry majors. So they really like to party on the weekends, drinking a whole lot and staying out late. All things that weren't really me before college. But college is about growth, right? For fall break, I went home this past weekend and my best friend I grew up with and I caught up. They told me I've changed and I'm not the girl they left, all because I suggested we get some wine and have drinks one night. I don't think I've changed, just grown. How do I navigate my new life but stay true to the girl that left for college?
You are 19.
Yeah, like you were going to change regardless. They seem
Where did
boring.
you move from? I need to know. Like, did you move from like some like rural Texas, like Christian, like very, very Christian, it doesn't mean Christian, or like, did you move from like a very religious suburb of like Massachusetts in Boston or whatever? And then did you go to like ASU? Like, are you at Clemson? Like, where did you go? And like, what is that difference? And then where'd your friends go? Did your friends all go to Baylor? Like,
or did they just stay home or what?
Yeah.
Like I literally went to college with the friends I went to high school with and none of us stayed friends. And it has nothing to do, like, I will say most of us did join sororities too, and we're in our own sororities and became closer friends to the people that were in our sororities. But it really wasn't anything like we changed. No one was judging because we kind of were all in the same situation. And it wasn't like coming back. We were all amongst each other and things just changed there. I did keep one friend. I'm not friends with her anymore. And she actually didn't join a sorority. So that might be why. But, we're not friends now because she's a MAGA hardcore.
So that's why
it was different.
Who didn't know.
Yeah, but it just happens. Like it was going to happen regardless. Even if you all stayed in the same place and went to the same school, it would have just happened. You're going to be who you are. You know, your situation that you're in does help evolve who you are, but it doesn't really change who you are at your core unless you're just a horrible person. And from what you're telling me, this just sounds like a normal college experience.
Yeah. Would I make fun of my friends if we like came back from winter break or like we like were in winter break, they were at different schools and they're like, let's have some wine. I'd be like, ew, I don't like wine. I'm not having wine. Let's have a fucking like Smirnoff Ice. Like I would judge you for the choice of like, if you're having me drink red wine, like yuck.
Yeah.
Yuck.
But taking a shot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no. I'm
but
actually
also like it would be a hee hee ha ha and not a you've changed. They seem like judgmental people that I would not want to be friends with.
Yeah, this seems like you grew up in an area where like you were the friend group that did not party, did not drink, didn't do any of that kind of stuff. And it can sometimes be hard to know if like the choice to do that is based on your own personal value system or it's based on who you're surrounded by. Like I didn't go through this in college, but like in high school, I had friends who like, I had like different groups of friends, but I had like one friend in particular who was like super, super against drinking, like incredibly judgmental of drinking and all of that. I do not think they're like this anymore. And like, I also don't fault them for it. It was not like a religious thing. They had like crippling emetophobia. And like a lot of people who have emetophobia don't drink and cannot really associate or be friends with people who drink.
Do you want to define what that is?
So then that's like I can't stress enough, like a debilitating fear of throwing up and vomit. And whether that's like around you, but like it's a lot of it possesses in the fact of like things that could be like contagious and getting sick, but even just being around somebody else getting sick like that. And so I had 2 friends that really struggled with that. And like at the time, like I didn't drink, but like I didn't have like a strong stance against it. Like I didn't have a big like moral code against it or whatever. Like I just didn't. And then I remember like my other friends were trying to drink earlier and they were like asking if I wanted to. And I was like, I don't know, like, I don't know. And probably should have listened to that because now I don't drink for the very reason that I liked it too fucking much. And then when I finally did, they were so mad at me. Like they were so livid with me. And I like couldn't wrap my head around it because it was like, I totally respect that like you're not comfortable with that because the possibility of throwing up. Like I would never drink around you. And there was like just a lot of judgment in the fact that like, you know, and I probably think if like we're all adults now, I'm sure they probably were like, yeah, sorry for that. Like, I don't think they would have stood by that belief system. But like when you're young, you can have like overwhelming feelings and emotions that you can't really define, like why you feel that way. Like some people have families who have history with alcoholism. Some people just have been so sheltered from it that it like becomes like a bomb. Like it becomes like this like terrifying fucking fear that like you don't know anything, you don't know about it. And so like it's just like something bad is going to happen or whatever. And like I have that around hard drugs, which it's a valid fucking fear. But so I think like
wine.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, but something like this is just kind of like, to me, anyone who is so deeply judgmental of the choices that you are making, the reasoning and why they're making their own choices is either so wishy-washy, like they're not concrete and like confident and solid in their own feelings, because they would then be able to explain that to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of times people just assume everyone thinks and feels the same way that they do. And I think there's a huge difference between someone feeling like uncomfortable and like weird, and then you going like, cool, so sorry, we don't have to drink. Like, yeah. And then having those be the friends you don't drink around. Like, I don't think you have to have, if you're like, you know, all of my friends have to want to get fucked up with me, to that I would say, you might be like me in a couple of years and going, yeah, maybe drinking's not for me. Maybe this is an unhealthy relationship. But if you can like have friends that you don't drink around, they should have friends who drink not around them.
Yeah.
So I think if it's not respectful on both ends of that, then I agree with Melissa that like sometimes people just grow apart and it doesn't have to be forever or permanent. We both are big believers in stopping that relationship and putting like a pin in it for the possibility to come back to later versus like trying to tough it out.
Yeah. And then you completely ruin it.
Yeah.
Just talking about like how people change too and evolve. Like I was a heavy drinker in college. Very, very heavy drinker. Now, like when I hang out with people from college, I'm like, I don't really drink that much. Or like, except for had fun that Christmas break last year. But that was more edibles. I had a half a drink.
Yeah. And just not edibles.
Yeah. But when I tell them, like, nobody is like, you, Melissa, you don't drink anymore. Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
Like, truly, no one cares.
Yeah. I think like the judgment has to come from a place. And like, I think it's really hard to move on from having like someone casting like intense judgment at you, especially a friend, without knowing where it comes from. Like that to me is like, that's a deal breaker in my friendship, because like, then I'm like, do you just think I'm a bad person? Like, what is that there? Like, unpack that, like figure out your own shit or whatever. So you're totally allowed to change, but also, you know, you should be, both of you and them should be able to have fun the ways that you have had fun together before. And if you guys can't, then I think like, yeah, the friendship, you've kind of grown out of it, but there's not two separate versions of you. There's not like current you and past you. Like they're both you. And like, I would hope that your other friends have like grown and changed and, you know, had more life experience since they've been in school too.
Okay. Next one.
Okay. Hey, Melissa and Megan. I am a longtime listener, first time to submit. I'm excited to finally have a reason to write in. I'm 26, she, her. My friends and I have a girls' trip coming up when everyone comes back from our hometown for Christmas. My only issue is I was recently laid off from my job, so money will be tight for a while. I haven't told anyone because I'm so embarrassed. They all have great jobs, some are married, so they have 2 incomes. Then there's little old me. I know if I tell them my position, one of them will volunteer to cover me. Then I'll just feel like a loser and uncomfortable with any purchase I make, such as ordering the cheapest meals to keep from being a burden. I really don't want to go anymore, but I've already bought my plane ticket. What would you do in this situation? Should I let my friend cover me? I'm actively looking for a job, but I know I'll have to pay my parents back as they're helping me with my bills for now. I know they'd let me postpone paying them back, but I want to be financially smart. Any advice would be great. As someone who like was making good money when my friends were like Baroque college students, nothing brought me more joy than being able to like share experiences with them and cover them. And if any of them had been weird about that, I would have been like, why the fuck are you being weird? And I mean that with love, that like, if you know your friends would cover for you, that is because it's like nothing for them. They want your presence there. They want you to be there. And if that's what it takes for you to be there, they're totally fine with that. And like, I'm not at the financial place now where like, I could be like, yeah, come on, do this, whatever. So I would find something else that I could do with my friends. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll make sacrifices of what you can do. But like, if your friends want you there, they want you there. And like you bring so much more value to this. And I think like what's really talking, I think you know this, it's like you feeling shame from the job and like and feeling like a burden in that sense. But the fact that you have no question what your friends would do to make sure you could be there tells me you have really great friends. And these like negative feelings are just solely coming from tying your sense of self and sense of worth to your employment, which is like a very normal thing that we do in society.
Yeah. I mean, being laid off is nothing to be ashamed about. That just means that your company could no longer pay all of its employees the amount that they agreed to pay. And so they laid you off. Like, that's nothing to be ashamed about. It's not like you went in there and did something horrible and got fired. Tell your friends. I'm sure they will understand. People are getting laid off every day and people understand what you're going through. Let them know. And if somebody comes forth, then I know it can be very like, I don't want to be a burden, but like people should never volunteer to spot you for anything if they don't have it. Like if you don't expect it ever to be paid back, you shouldn't go into it expecting to never be paid back. But like, if they want you there and they're willing to do it, I understand like how you're feeling. I completely understand. But if you want to go and they're able to cover it and you know that it's not going to be any type of burden to them, then do it. And then, you'll have their back somewhere down the line.
Yeah. And like sometimes like you can bring so many different things to a friendship or a relationship. And sometimes some people can bring money to that. And like has nothing to do with like their character or like how great they are or whatever. It's like some people just were born with more money. Some people just have jobs that pay more money. And like sometimes they might not have as much time. Maybe they can't make like a handmade, really thoughtful gift, but someone's going to get you something like really nice that they know that you've been interested in or whatever. So like, I just think that you don't like not deserve your friends because they would do this for you. It doesn't have to be like I could never cover them for that. That's not what people need. Like you can do so many other things as a friend, and people would not offer that if you weren't a kind of friend that they value so much that it's holding over your head or whatever. And the fact that you already know they're going to say this makes me like think that like, this is who they are to their core and like how they are. And so I also would not do that with anybody. Do you know what I mean? Like when I was in a good financial spot. So just know that like, this is probably very exclusive to a very small group of people that they would do this for because you add that much value in their life.
Yeah.
That's tenfold more than like whatever the cost of that trip is. But yeah, also, you never know. Maybe someone else is going through a financial hard time and they're like, I really like, I don't want to be the only one, or like, rescheduling something or,
cutting
whatever
down
that
the
is.
Activities or something.
Yeah. I'm always going to tell my friends if I'm like, oh, just kind of strapped for cash at this point, like, let's do this. But I also really appreciate when friends say that to me because I'm like, perfect. Give me a box and parameters and like, we'll come up with so many fun things in there. And I think like we have to think highly of our friends that they would never want to put us in those positions knowingly. So like, don't put them in those positions unknowingly where they make us feel uncomfortable or spread too thin.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it sounds like you've got great friends and do everything in your power, which I know is an impossible ask, to not have this feel like a sense of failure and instead feel like this is kind of, unfortunately, like a inevitable thing in the economy right now.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take another break.
Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to see you next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Merry Christmas, everybody! My name's Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody! Let's go!
People often look at me with confusion when I ask them what their only one in the room story is. They think it has to be like mine, where I went to a 600-person event and discovered that I was the only Black person there. I know. Horrifying, right? Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us for an hour and lose yourself in someone's only one story. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
And we are back from our break.
Hey, to my advice-giving queens. And boy, am I needing advice. I have had a huge crush on my sister's boyfriend ever since I can remember. Super inappropriate for a while considering they're 5 years older than me. I am now 20 and they've been broken up about a year and a half. He never knew about my feelings. Pretty sure he barely knew I existed, as me and my sister weren't close until they broke up. So I made up a random Gmail.
Oh no.
So I made up a random Gmail and confessed it all to him anonymously. He responded back and really wants to know who his longtime secret crush is. I've left him on red for a week. I don't know what to do, especially now that me and my sister are close. I feel like such an idiot for even sending this email. Do I tell him it was me? Do I tell my sister? I am so confused and not sure what to do. I'm not sure how to feel. Please tell me what you think. I'm not a softie, so no need to sugarcoat this. Don't do it. That's the only thing. Like, stop.
Remove
Delete this email. Delete this email account.
Beyond that, Gmail, remove the account from your profile.
Yes.
Remove any memory of any password stored. Remove truly absolutely everything. If the email address is based on an interest of yours, you no longer like that thing.
No.
If it is based on your birthday, you have a new birthday. Like, truly, you, like, this is one of those things where it's, I've been at the receiving end of this before, but like, you know, those like age-old like therapist things of being like, you know, write this person a letter and then like burn it. I've been on the receiving end of like someone
email.
wrote a letter and then they just decided to read it to me and then they were like, that was like years later. They're like, that was like really fucked up. I was like, actually, that's the most fucked up thing. It's like people hear the first part of this. Write the email. You never send it.
No. I also was on the receiving end of this while sitting in a car, trapped, couldn't get out, while Casey and JoJo's All My Life played on the radio. It was
what a soundtrack for that moment.
I know. Well, they put it on purpose. It was it was not fun.
No.
And you were 15 and he was 20 when this started. So
if he's interested in him, send him to jail.
Yes.
Like,
but he doesn't even know who sent it. And now, you know, you're now gassing up some man who your sister broke up with. Why did they break up? Like, this is not cool.
No.
I understand getting something off your chest, but you don't go put it on somebody else's chest now too.
Yeah, like this information needs to die with you, and I need you to believe, like I truly need you to believe the fact that it never happened. So like if somehow it comes out, like he figures it out or whatever, I need you to believe so wholeheartedly that this never happened that you could pass a lie detector test.
Yeah.
Like I need you to believe your own lie so fucking hard, because it was a lapse in judgment. You don't know that girl who sent that.
No.
Like you need to never be that person ever again, to the point where that's the only way that you can maintain this lie forever, because truthfully, you don't know the girl who sent that. It never happened because you would never do that. But you have to grow and mature and change. Otherwise, that lie, no one will believe it, because it will be like, everyone's like, there's no way she would do that. That doesn't sound like her at all. You have to change your whole life moving forward from this. And like, you also just said like, you're now, like you said, I'm now 20. I wonder if you're like a fresh 20. I don't
care where you're falling on the 20 spectrum.
I was gonna say, like, were you in college? Like, when you sent the email, like, did you have this like false sense of confidence and like there was distance there, and then like you come back home for this and you realize like, oh my God, like he's from this town. Like I'm with my, like, this is like, why would I do this? Like this isn't going off into like the ether. This isn't a pen pal. This is like a real person that's tied to my home life and my family.
I don't think that you expected him to respond back.
No.
And that's the problem. But like, if somebody sends me an email, I'm going to try to figure out where it came from.
First of all, I don't like this man regardless because he's a man. But second of all, the like, oh my God, who's had a secret crush on me for all these years? And he's like, I'm just trying to rack my brain of all of the bitches it could be.
And I'm sure you're not even on the radar at all. No offense, because you were a child.
Either you're the only person on the radar and then send him straight to jail, or he thinks so highly of himself that the list is like endlessly long, because it could be anyone. Because of course, who wouldn't have been in love with him for all these years?
But also, like, I think you're in love with the idea. Well, you had a crush on the idea of him, because you said that you and your sister weren't even close. So you weren't even spending that much time with him.
And I don't know, how long did they date? Because you said they're 5 years older than you. They've been broken up for a year and a half, ever since I can remember.
I don't know why, but I read it as they were together for 5 years. So
but to me, I was in my head, they've either been dating since college or since high school.
Yeah.
Because like that's kind of the age range. And if you've had a long time crush, I would assume it's, again, either high school or college. And I'm kind of leaning more towards high school, because you would have been around him more than if it was a college boyfriend. Like that's kind of like how I would deduce that, and like could be wrong, but like that just makes the most logical sense to me. But like I hope you're able to like reflect on this situation and like know that you have to read the whole prompt. The whole prompt is write an email and then don't actually send it. Like there's all of that to kind of get your feelings out there, but also that like Melissa said, like you had a crush on like the idea of like who he was, and especially if this was starting from the age that you were like quite young, it's not based in anything other than like childhood giddiness of like, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing behind it. It's the same way. And I don't want to say this, you know, like little kids who say that they want like little, like who say like, oh, I'm going to marry daddy, or I'm going to marry mommy or whatever. Or like, your brother, or like you have a cousin who you're like, oh my God, I love him. He's the best. And you're like holding hands or whatever. And then that's because you recognize these feelings of like, you like this person. And then, you know, you see your Cinderella movies and all of these kinds of things. And you know that mommy and daddy are married and they spend all their time together, and you want to be with mommy and daddy forever. So you'll marry daddy. Like there isn't like it's not based in like knowledge of like what these systems mean. And then you grow out of it. And like that is, I think in this, like a childhood crush, like you just knew him as this guy who was around, who was with your sister, and was probably the idea of what you had seen with what a boyfriend was. And so therefore, like, I want him. No, maybe as a kid, you're just like, oh my God, what a nice boyfriend. And then he is just boyfriend to you. He is Ken. It is like, that is like the insert of that. And so that is like a very normal totally normal thing. But like with love, I would have assumed by now, if we're going based on this, what we've pieced together, saying that they're dating in high school. We, again, could be wrong. You being 20, I do wonder what your own life experience has like been in pursuing and like flirting and dating or whatever. Like, have you done any of that, or have you just been pining over this guy who I don't even think you actually have feelings for? It's like the idea of what a relationship is.
What did the email say?
I know.
It doesn't matter
Was
because
it
it doesn't.
worded
You
like
don't.
Gossip Girl?
You don't exist.
Like-
It doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't matter because you've deleted it now.
You know, deleted it from your life, your memory, your brain.
Yeah.
Like, it never happened.
I don't need an update because there is no update.
No, this never happened.
Mhm.
We all dreamed this. And I want to say wholeheartedly, I fully believe you can come back from this. Like, I do. I think that this should be a wake-up call of, why the fuck did I do that? And like the person who read me this horrible letter that they just should have burned, and they were like, didn't listen to the last part about what they had heard about those kinds of things. They literally were like, it was one of the worst things I've ever done. I vowed to never do that again. And like, it can be a huge learning experience. And for this, I think this is a wake-up call of like, you need to spread your wings. You need to have social interactions and situations, and you need to unromanticize this man by like removing him from just what the idea of like what crushes, what love, what like infatuation, what like is. Like, he's been assigned that role, when in reality, those are feelings that you can have for a plethora of different people. They're not like exclusive to him. And that is a child thing. That's like a young thing that we do.
And also, if you ever do feel like you need to get something else off your chest, you can tell your sister when you're 40 and it's a haha and this man is no longer in our lives. 40. That's 20 years from now. You've already forgotten. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Or when he's dead.
Yeah.
You know? And I can't stress enough, if you want to get something off your chest,
use the internet. Use Reddit.
Or might I introduce you to something called a notebook?
No,
with
notebook.
perforated pages that you rip
Okay.
out and then safely
Incinerated.
burn that shit down. And symbolically, that is then leaving your body, your mind, the universe, and it's done so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just wondering, do you have like notebooks in your childhood room that like have his name with like hearts?
Please throw them away.
Yeah. You need to like erase anything of this. And like, you need to erase his email address from your address book on your email. So like, I don't even have his email. I don't even know his email.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you don't have his email from my graduation party? You're like, no, I don't even know what his email is.
Yeah, go into your actual contacts because it does save everything automatically in Gmail. Go into your actual contacts and delete it. And then it will not show up when you start typing somebody that has the same name as him.
Yeah. This man is dead to you, and this never happened.
What if he gets back together with a sister?
No, that could happen.
I know.
Also, I just know this man is not hot enough for any of this. Like, for him to be walking around with this, like, someone had a secret crush on. Like, men don't deserve that.
No.
Oh. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Even though you did it to yourself, I do feel really bad for you. This, like, would keep me up at night. But it never happened, so it can't keep you up at night anymore.
Never happened. We're going to take another break. When we get back, we'll get into Don't Blame Them.
I'm Brennan Storr.
I'm Paul Bestall.
We're the Ghost Story Guys.
And every 2 weeks, we explore first-person stories of encounters with the paranormal from all around the world.
Then we have some fun reacting to those stories. We like to say our goal is to scare the hell out of you, then make you laugh.
Belief in the paranormal is not required. All you need is a love of great storytelling and curiosity about the world around you.
Come find the Ghost Story Guys on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else fine podcasts live, or at ghoststoryguys.com.
Bitches
Bitches on Comics is a bi-monthly interview podcast where we talk to the coolest LGBTQ plus folks and women in comics and pop culture.
Our unique perspectives and welcoming nature have earned us the honor of being named a best comic book podcast by Book Riot, Screen Rant, The Mary Sue, Comic Book Herald, and Comic Book Couples Counseling.
Bitches on Comics is hosted by moi, Monica Estrella Negra, filmmaker, writer, and co-founder of Audrey's Revenge Film.
And me, Essie Fleenor, comic and pop culture nerd and culture critic with writing in The Independent, Vice, Electric Literature, Star Trek, and so much more.
We're also both voting members of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ plus Entertainment Critics.
Join Bitches on Comics for in-depth, hilarious, and heartfelt conversations with the likes of Stephanie Williams, Leah Anderson, and the late, great Rachel Pollack.
Listen to Bitches on Comics on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or tune in at bitchesoncomics.com. New episodes every other Wednesday.
We are back. Now it is time for Don't Blame Them, which is where a listener will call in or write in with their own experience based on a call or, again, a write-in, something we've talked about on a previous episode. So they might have professional experience, they might have gone through it in their social life, or just have some insight, something we didn't touch on, that they want to give their own advice to the original. Hi, I'm writing in about today's Don't Blame Me episode, Love, Relationships, and Sex, specifically the person calling in to talk about how to date as a potentially ace person. I agree with all you two said. I want to share a recommendation for the book by Angela Chen, Ace, What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex. There is research, but also a lot of personal stories of people all across the asexual and aromantic spectrum, and I think it can be both useful to learn more about this, but also a lot of comfort to hear about people who have similar experiences to yours. Additionally, I'd like to share a personal story. Both me and my ex-partner were quite sexual people. We dated for 3 years, and each of us had periods of time where we just weren't feeling sexual at all. These times didn't usually happen at the same time, but we were able to navigate this mismatch and drive by openly communicating, not judging each other, and not taking the situation personally. That is just to say, I believe everyone will be able to find someone who matches their needs, wants, and desires if they want to find someone like that. But also, these things will change over the duration of the relationship. So every couple needs to navigate and communicate these things as time goes on. It's never a one and done conversation. Lots of love, and hope you figure out what you want and find people to support you in that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's very helpful because, yeah, it's not a one and done conversation.
No, and thank you for sharing that book recommendation and your own experience.
Yes, thank you. Well, that is it for our episode. We hope you all enjoyed.
Okay, Jess.
New girl Jess?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Don't act like that's not what she does.
That's true. The Jess singing voice versus the Zooey Deschanel singing voice is such a huge, anyone who wants to give her being oh my God, she's not even, I think Jess is one of the best main characters of a network show because most female main characters of a network show fucking suck. They're so boring. They're so annoying. They just make stupid decision after stupid decision. She, well-written character, and she's not just playing Zooey Deschanel.
Nope. She's a character.
She is, and I think everyone should watch Elf and be like, "That's that same bitch, guys. That's the same bitch."
I've never seen it.
Oh, have you ever seen Failure to Launch?
Yes.
She is, I showed Mott's that, and he was a New Girl fan way before me and had watched it for
I know.
years.
I've been trying to get you to watch it.
I know, but he was someone who he always found Jess always stressed him out. And he was like, Zooey Deschanel stresses me out. I go, no, the character of Jess stresses you out. She is acting. And he was like, I feel like she always plays it. And I showed him Failure to Launch, where she plays a very, very Aquarius coded, but very kind of sinister and kind of creepy and unsettling character. And he was like, oh. And I was like, yeah.
She's good.
She might be dating a property brother, but she's not boring.
Mm-hmm.
She's fun.
She also doesn't recognize her nepotism, but that's neither here nor there.
What do you mean?
Her parents are her dad's a very famous DP, and her mom is something else. And then her sister's an actress as well. And she was like, I'm not a Nepo baby. And I'm like, let me legit look up who her dad is. Hold on.
Well, her being a fashion and style icon and everything, because she was attached to New Girl.
Yeah.
She wasn't it was like very heavily influenced by who she was as a person. But that's also the project she's most famous for. So like that in itself should like let people know that like, how were you somewhat famous then already?
Her dad worked on Twin Peaks, Law and Order, Conviction, Bones, which is her sister's show, but also like she's been nominated for Academy Awards. Like you can't, for The Right Stuff, Fly Away, The Patriot, The Passion of the Christ, Never Look Away. Like you had access to, also like worked on Titanic. Like you had access to things that other people didn't have access to. His IMDb is long. Her mom, she's an actress, but her list of things that she's been on is also long. Like you have access to things that most people don't have access to. But like the stuff that your dad has done, that just speaks for itself.
Yeah, Zooey Deschanel's fourth credit is Almost Famous. Like, you know, there's also a reason that obviously Kate Hudson is the best person for that role, but she's also the best person to play a role like that so young because she's got a star power family behind. There's a confidence level in that and a bit of irony.
Yep.
That's so funny. That's so funny. I had no idea that she like rebuked that. I think it's ridiculous when anyone rebukes that and their sibling is in the industry because statistically,
older sibling
is more than one family member. If there's two siblings or more in the industry, that is because you cannot both make it as like a late in life adult. Like you were child actors. And why most of the people who are child actors, their parents are in the industry or their parents were in the industry. Like that's how that works typically. And
this isn't like a Phineas and Billie Eilish situation where their mom like begged to be on a show so that she could keep her health insurance.
Also, she begged for like 2 lines of a day player. Like when people say that like that's a Nepo, I'm like,
that's not at all.
Below the line is not Nepo, baby. And below the line is, how do you explain that to people? Well, I guess the best place for people to describe it when you're watching a movie. And
that's exactly what it is.
And that's where it comes from.
Yes.
It's like when you're watching a movie and the people who are their names are coming up before the movie starts, like when the movie's starting, and then versus when you see at the end of the movie after like the credits rolling with all of the small names going fast, above the line is the ones before the movie, below the line is the rest of it. And that's where that comes from, but that's how the best way to describe it for that. And so unless their name is Platt and you're seeing it at the beginning, that's not, if anything, I would say they're probably Nepo parents at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that's funny. Well, I hope you enjoyed that like little Hollywood history lesson and some background on Zooey Deschanel. So yeah, we hope you all enjoyed. Please write in, call in for upcoming episodes as well as for Don't Blame Them. And we will...
And updates.
Oh yeah, and updates. We want some updates. Except for that like one mysterious one that we had towards the end of this
I don't know
episode
what
that
you're
didn't
talking about,
happen.
Megan.
Yeah. I think it was just a dream. I don't even remember at all. So yeah, we hope you all enjoyed. Follow us on socials. We're getting better at posting.
Join us tomorrow for Fisting Friday, Monday for But Am I Wrong? Tuesday for See You Next Tuesday. Nothing on Wednesday, but sometimes there's little treats on the Patreon to see. And back here on Thursday for Don't Blame Me. Bye.
Enjoyed. Bye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production sound and editing by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Giacomo Picasso and Ryan Hunter.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth. Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.